Do you find it difficult to focus on your customers and even your own employees as you're juggling numerous vendors? Do you have more meetings with vendors than you can count? And do their reports filled with technical jargon make you feel clueless and frustrated? Such is the story of Nathan. Being at a car dealership, he's concerned about his store's digital marketing presence and invests most of his time dealing with vendors to promote his business and gain more sales and market share. Nathan is busy handling reports and reviewing them, not knowing what is happening on the advertising front and about his true ROI. Poor Nathan is worried but can't figure out a solution until he found BZ Consultants Group. BZ Consultants stepped in and was able to take the digital marketing vendor burden off Nathan's plate, giving him peace of mind that the best interest of the dealer was always top of mind. Being an unbiased third party, BZ Consultants always made sure to relay the reports in easy, relatable, and actionable ways so that Nathan could best utilize the data. Now, Nathan can focus on what he really wanted, the customer experience and growth. By being your digital marketing business partner, BZ Consultants Group will remove the hassle of trying to hold your vendors accountable and increase your productivity with the time you will now have armed with true data. Together, we make it possible because your success is our goal.
Well, happy Friday, everyone. Welcome into Facts Not Feelings. I am so freaking excited. And anyone who knows, I just completely censored that right there because anyone knows me, I like to throw F-bombs down, and I just didn't. And offline, about 2 minutes ago, I was throwing a lot of F-bombs down. So there you go, everyone. I've got Katie Mears here with me. And Katie, I as we were going through, and I was like, hey, StreamYard has this new function here. We can have this nice little title and little thing underneath there. There is enough space here to put all your freaking accolades, Katie Mears here. We got, I'm going to say best-selling author here. You've got female extraordinaire and just kick-ass boss babe here. I'm so excited to have you on the show here. For anyone that doesn't know, and like as always, as we're starting to get in some of this, the swag here, I don't know what the rest of the swag, it's around here somewhere, is that share this. We have some comments rolling here. Tag someone else that needs to see this. Maybe your manager needs to see this. Share this with somebody. Each week now, I'm going to start picking some out of a hat, maybe out of a pair of Jordans. I don't know, out of somewhere. And I'm going to ship you. Obviously, this will only come from my account. It's not going to come from someone proposing as me. And I'll send you some Facts Not Feeling swag. So, but as always, want to make sure we're on the right track here. I just want to do a quick introduction of Katie Mears. We met on Fix Ops Roundtable, and I was just like, holy shnikes, who is this amazing individual? So with that, if we're going to get into this right here. So for anyone watching right now,
I love
CustomHer experience, man. I don't read a lot of books, not that I'm illiterate. I just, in 2008, I had a corneal transplant. I used to read a ton before then. Now it's just really, really difficult for me to read books. It hurts my eyes and what have you. But when you buy this, man, this is what you're going to need. You're going to need a shit ton of highlighters. And you need a lot of Post-its because this is what my book looks like right now. So,
it makes me so happy.
Katie, yeah, talk to us, man. Tell us a little bit about yourself. I know I kind of do this here, but I cannot say. Get this freaking book. It releases on the 14th, I believe.
Valentine's Day. So in what is the date today? So 4 days. Four days. I'm so excited, and that just makes my heart smile that you found so many golden nuggets. It's just amazing. So yeah, hey all, I'm Katie, and you all probably, a lot of you might know me and might not necessarily personally, but on social media because it's a wonderful thing. And I am an author, speaker, consultant that has worked in, but what brought me CustomHer experience was a really crappy car buying experience. And it is the opening story of my book. So I am here, all of you car folks, because I really want to effect change and the female perspective, not just from a consumer standpoint, but also from an employee standpoint and just women in general, because I believe if she doesn't want to work for you, she ain't going to want to shop with you. So I'm here for just to help people understand people. And I was just having a conversation, Ron, who is the owner of Fixed Ops magazine, and I was having a conversation with him yesterday. And what he said, I gave him a copy of the book, and what he said was just like, oh, I love that you've backed it by science. I'm not here to say, oh, I am woman, hear me roar, although I am woman, hear me roar. However, it's not just about feelings. It is really about facts. And it is about the science behind everything. So every bit of information I put in there is backed up with a study. It's not just like, oh, I think she likes this, or I think women are the best, or I think she's going to double your revenue in just 36 months. No, it's all fact. Really just silly to ignore it.
Oh my goodness. So with that, we're going to dive more into this. And I was sitting there and I kind of talked about this a little bit last night in my Thursday. It used to be walk and talk, but in the wonderful Chiberia land that we live in, being from Canada, you understand that during the winter months, you're like, nope, unless I have a lot of alcohol in my system, you're not walking outside. So it's not like every Thursday, which room have I not done this in my house? Well, I guess we're going back down to the shoe wall. All right, let's do that. But I went down, I was like, I don't even know, trying to encapsulate all the facts and all the golden nuggets in your book. I go, man, okay, so I'm trying to put these in. I think I narrowed, let's see, I've got probably 20 bullet points of different facts. I could keep going on and on about this. I'm just going to throw down a couple of these little facts in here. So women own 9 million plus businesses. They employ 8 million. They generate 1.4 trillion. That's what the T, $1.4 trillion in sales. Women earn more higher education degrees and start business at a faster rate than their male counterpart. Women make up more, about half of Twitter and Facebook users. So as I go through it, there's a reason why I'm going down this route, is that they also influence and make up 83% of non-business and business purchases. Okay, so think about your household. Think about what they're doing if you have a family. If whatever you're buying in your house, who's making that? Who's making it for you? Think about that for a second. They are the number one referrer. So if I make a purchase, women think about this, and men as well. How likely are you to go make that reference and, hey, go leave us a review? Men, women, think about this. How quickly are you to go tell that story about how great or how absolutely atrocious that experience was? Yeah. Women are your number one referrer. In fact, they're 25 to 35% more likely to make a referral and leave that review than their male counterpart. So all of this to think, okay, maybe, just maybe, we might to market to that chief purchasing officer, which is a female. Now, going back to what Katie just said earlier, man, if I'm a woman, which last I checked, I am. I'm checking my body parts here. Yeah, I am. If I don't want to work for your company, I sure as hell am not going to come buy from you guys. So take this a little bit step further. 91% of females feel misunderstood when it comes to advertisers. 76% question if companies even comprehend their needs. So there's a ton more here. We can get the auto part. I know we're going into Super Bowl Sunday, and obviously you all know I am Sports Center is my binky. I live and die by, got to watch it in the morning, got to watch it at night. I live in, whether it's gaming, whether it's sports, name an industry, and women are making up 50% of everything.
Well, you talk about the Super Bowl's coming up. Who is organizing the get together? Who is organizing the menu and doing all the purchasing of the brands and the shopping for that day? Who's deciding what jersey their kids are wearing or you're wearing? Who's going to go out and say yes to purchase that? It is her. She hands down decides every little detail of Super Bowl Sunday. The dudes just show up, eat the food, and watch the game, and she does it all. And so if you're really interested in capturing, I mean, it's crazy to think roughly 50% of our population, we're half women, half men, but we just ignore her, and we ignore that she has this influence. I think it's the stats, I mean, they've changed year, but right now I think she influences about $43 trillion of worldwide spending.
Oh, I have that in the bullet point. It is 43 trillion.
Yes, worldwide spending, and that is only going to grow as she, owns more businesses, as she employs more people, as she takes on more of a reins in the finances in her house, with more economic power. The more money she makes, the more say she has.
Yes, and I'm going to bring up Steve Apicella. And Stephen, as you say that, I don't want to pour salt in an open wound here. But Steven's saying, I can't wait to read Katie's book. Brooke, how did you already get a copy? Well, I don't know if you can see this, but it says advanced release, not for resale right here. So that's how I got it. And not only that, as I love Katie so much, is I'm actually, man, this is a joy right now, Steven. I actually got a handwritten note from Katie as well. So I'm just going to say is that I'm pretty special is what I am. But he goes on to say, I've always believed inclusion of an overlooked but critically important group is never achieved through exclusion of anyone. Auto retail needs to embrace everyone's needs before and after the vehicle sales if we desire a lifetime customer. Mic drop, yes. There is so much more to learn here. Bravo, Amazon pre-order. Here I come. Yeah, buddy. Yes. You. In fact, as we say that, I usually leave this. I'm going to put this up here. This right now, Katie's link, her personalized link is going to inside there is going to have a link to the Amazon. Obviously, you can check her out. You can go visit her website, and it's going to have the pre-order book there as well. So go check her out. But yes, it's very, very true. So funny you mean to bring up the Super Bowl there. I mean, as we are doing the whole Costco run yesterday, I know what our favorite beverages are, and sitting there and we're going back and forth, and as there's Chris sends out the text to the guys and the husbands, and some people kind of don't respond. And I go, you know what, let me text the wives. Boom, wives, and the wives don't respond. And I go, so wives got it covered. Don't worry about it. Which is like, they're all on it. They've all got the shit covered. And I go, okay, so we have a certain, a beer brand. And obviously we always like to buy a local, living in Chicago. We have phenomenal beer here in Chicago. So I go, hey, who wants to do beer? And everyone's like, we're not really, whatever. I go, okay, I know the guys are going to, but no one really respond back. I go, that's fine. Just know that I am deciding what beer we're getting then. So, and once again, so we choose it, but the same thing goes is that every chip that was purchased, every dip that was purchased, every beverage, everything was purchased.
So, and then here you go. So then you look at her influence, not just within like your immediate, like friends and family, look at the influence of the future generations. So I have 3 kids, and before my divorce, I would have over every Friday. My kids and all their friends and the moms would all get together Fridays, and I would cook a meal for them. But I always say, well, think about it. Every kid that walked up my driveway saw my brand of vehicle. And every time they walked into my house and opened my fridge, because I had a very open, like, hey, mi casa, su casa, tu casa, right? Like, it's very like, just go in my fridge, don't ask me permission. But every time they opened my fridge or my pantry or anything like that, they saw the brands I chose. And when I cooked a meal for them and I put, certain things on the table and they're all sitting around, like all 12 kids eating a meal, if one weekend, let's say on a Friday I was lazy and I did Jane's chicken fingers, right? Because I didn't want to cook something from scratch. They knew they were eating Jane's chicken fingers. And so I was on the phone, actually. One of my girlfriends called me, and it's been years since I've been able to do that because I've moved around and done a whole bunch of stuff and got divorced. She called me and she goes, you know what? I have to tell you something. I'm like, what? She goes, well, I was in the grocery store with her son, and we were going through the aisles, and he stopped me and said, Mom, Katie used to get that. Can we have it?
Yep.
And so the influence is for 3 to 4 generations. It doesn't just stop with her and her husband and just her kids. It's anybody that is around. You talk about the shampoo. You have every person, like if my sister were to stay at my house or anybody, they're what shampoo do you use? It's there. Yep. They go buy it. The influence we have is astronomical, and it spreads far wider than anybody is willing to look.
So it's funny you bring up shampoo. So Chris doesn't, he has a few hairs left on his head, but with that, he still does the shampoo thing. And so he's down visiting some friends. They've got a place in Florida, and he comes back and he's like, we have to get the shampoo. And I go, well, first off, you can get that shampoo. My shampoo, he knows he doesn't touch that shampoo because it's worth gold, and it costs the amount of gold. And he goes, it smells terrific, and I love it. I go, okay, babe, great. Sure, we'll get it. So he gets it. He goes to that round, goes to the whatever, loves it. He goes back. We're back down at our friend's place in Florida. By the way, thank you, Karen and Scott Brown, for this. And he comes back. He goes, they changed shampoo. Karen got new shampoo. I got to get it. I was like, Oh, okay. All right. Do what you got to do. As long as you're happy, I'm happy, babe. So he gets it. So now he has been using this. The only shampoo he uses now is stuff that Karen has at their beach house in Florida. And it's because she had it. So now that's all he buys. Now he had other stuff. It was probably like herbal. I think it was like herbal essence or something like that. But that's all he has. But it's like exactly to your point is that is exactly what it is. And because of how we're wired, and I know you talk about the limbic system and everything like that, but because of how we're wired, I can tell you when we are loyal to a fault. We are loyal. And I know when people come to me for, hey, Brooke, who do you recommend for this? And who do you recommend for this? Or whether it's in a business sense or just, hey, what's the best blah, blah, blah. Hey, I will stand behind that until you do me wrong. Then the gloves comes off and I will fight you. Like, do not screw me over. But because of that, I will, and anyone that knows me knows that, hey, when I believe in your product, it's because I would use you, and I do use you. And I will scream it from the mountaintops. Mountaintops.
We're the original social media, right? Like,
yeah.
I mean, even back in the old days, you can paint the picture of a white picket fence and a woman sipping lemonade in the backyard and seeing the wife next door coming out because the kids are playing and her just creeping up and saying, hey, how are you? And then them gabbing about everything that's happened in the last week. I mean, like, that's how we are wired. And it's not, and I go back to facts. It's not because I think this is how we are, but this is like physiologically how we are. We communicate with both sides of our brain. We communicate with, I think it's 20,000 words versus like 16,000 words. We use more words a day than men do. We communicate with creativity and logic, where men just communicate with logic, one side of their brain and one side of the hemisphere there. And it's just who we are, and we want everyone to hear it. And now we've got this megaphone called social media where we want to be social and tell our stories. Unfortunately, we're going to tell more negative stories than positive ones, because that's what we do. So you have to work really hard to get that positive story out of us. You really do have to provide that experience. And if you do, then yeah, we're going to be shouting it from the mountaintops.
Well, you even go in here to say that women spend 30% more time per day networking, online, social media, and everything. So you take all of this, and going back to what we said earlier, the amount of time we spend, whether per day, that we influence all these different things with the number of referrals. So all those different things add up to, what are you doing to build that relationship? What are you doing to communicate? What are you doing to build the actual experience? Because if you think you just go in, let's just go in the car industry. Obviously, this is Fact Not Feelings. We're about the car industry or about automotive, moving the auto industry forward. I love that you talk about this, because I bring this up all the time in dealerships. Okay, let's talk about the bathrooms for a hot second.
Oh my God.
Times you walk in, have the guy go into the women's bathroom. I mean, it's just, you got papers overflowing. It's a hot mess is what it is. It's a hot mess.
It's so lighting. It's like when you look in the mirror, the hand towels hurt you. The soap is disgusting. There's no place to lounge. There's no full length mirror. There's no, like, it's not conducive to what a woman wants to experience.
No, not at all. And so taking that and saying, okay, so I love the part also is, and we talk about, we're going to promise you about abusing the customer. I've got that, I think, like 3 stars next to that, because whether it's the CRM, whether it's the people, process, products. So when you say, well, Brooke, I'm not abusing the customer. I'm not going out there hitting the customer. I'm not talking about that. And maybe you actually have hit the customer. I've seen that as well. Believe me, I have. I have definitely seen that. But when you say that you're going to follow up the customer, you're going to provide this world-class experience. Oh, we have this digital retailing tool that's going to be a red carpet. Really? Is there a red carpet out there? Nope, there is not. Okay, what are you doing that's actually doing what you say you're going to do? Because the minute you break that experience, you've abused the customer. And every time you do that, the customer is going,
you're better off saying nothing, right? Like, you're better off doing nothing, because I even talk about that in terms of working with your current female employees or bringing on female employees, is if you're going to set diversity and inclusion and bringing women more to the forefront of your organization, and hey, listen, merits matter. So diversity and merits, they are they go hand in hand, but I mean, the woman needs to be able to do her job, and so does the man, right? So, I mean, merit is important. But if you are going to focus on giving women that opportunity and you're going to make that promise, you got to do something. You got to do something about it, even with women in your business or as customers, because if not, disappointment is expectations not met. So don't set the expectation, and she won't be disappointed because she won't expect anything from you. It's better to do that than to break trust, because once you've broken trust, you're not getting it back.
No. And we all have the stories of whether you are a male and have seen it happen in your store, or you're a female and it happens to you pretty much every single day. Let's be honest, it happens all the time. And it doesn't matter if it's in the auto industry or really anything. It happens a lot. And this, I don't want to be negative about this. What I mean is, man, there is so much opportunity. And how are you seizing it? Man, that's my question, is how are you seizing it? So Stephen has seen here, connect the disconnected parts of the dealership ownership journey with Katie Maier's book. It's just a click away below. Look at Stephen coming in here. Need to offline info on how to get my copy signed. Brooke can't have the only signed copy. So then obviously he's thrown in here the actual, all the stuff here about how to actually get the book here. So Stephen, yes, I think that Katie may be able to help you with that.
I can help you with the signed copy. I can at least do a sticker plate or something. We'll get creative. We'll get it out to you.
Yeah. And Stephen's obviously doing a phenomenal job at connecting every portion of this. So it's awesome here. So, but what are you actually doing to look at your people, process, and products to say, are we connecting all this? Speaking of connecting the disconnected, but connecting all of this, because one of the other things you put in here is it takes 12 positive deposits of you actually doing something good and positive, of connecting with the female consumer to make up for one bad one.
Yeah.
Like, think about that for a second. So if we've all had those. I recently had this, and I think I tagged you about it. I go in to was it a
doctor's or something?
Doctor's appointment. Yep, doctor's appointment. And this happened to be a very a friend of a doctor I've seen for years, and it was just to Breeder's Digest version a horrific experience. Mm-hmm. And I just go, man, this is. And I kept going back to your book, thinking, okay, what is their version of how this is going? Do they really think this is going well? Because at no point is my body language saying like, this is freaking awesome. At no point is that at any point. Like, I've been back here for 2 hours. You guys can't take simple simple things you should be able to do. Like, you get taught, my background's in medical before I got into auto. So simple things you get taught in like the first year of medical school, like you should be able to do this stuff, and you can't do it. Like, I was just blown away. I'm like, how? And you lost me. Like, you lost me at the very first meeting. I will never be back here. And it's, as I told my doctor, the doctor that I know very well, I just go, out of respect for you, I'm not going to get into it. It was just a very, very poor experience. And then I just go, man, you didn't even have one deposit. Like, it was just shitty all the way around. Like, how, really? So talk some more about this here.
Yeah. So I believe we have a trust account with every customer, right? And so our trust account, when you onboard a new customer, it's zero balance, right? You've done nothing, they've done nothing if you're starting off the relationship. So it is really important for you to pour those deposits of trust, good experiences into your trust account, so you have a positive balance. If you don't, and you screw up the first time around, second time around, listen, we're human. We're all going to muck it up, right? Like, we're all going to drop the ball. It's going to happen. We're not robots. It's just going to happen. So if you don't have those deposits in, you go into overdraft. And once you're in overdraft, it is near to impossible, to win her back, or any customer for that matter. And if you do, they will be the fence sitters that the moment there's something that is more convenient. So people think that quality and price is the thing that keeps people. No, it's convenience. Like, we all don't change our cell phone company or our internet company or our cable company because it's just too painful to go through that process and get set up again and do all the things. Like, it's just not convenient enough. We all hate them. We all hate dealing with Verizon and TELUS and all the different companies. We hate them. But we don't leave because it's more convenient to stay. So they've got this monopoly on us. They can treat us like crap and it's not going to matter. But I'm working right now with a salon that I've known for years and worked with over and over again, and they're striving for excellence. I looked at them the other day, or I guess it was a couple weeks ago when I was in their salon, and I said, so when you throw a rock, how many salons do you hit? And they're like, I don't know, I could probably hit 5 with a pebble. And so I was like, okay, so let's talk about it. In all 5 of those salons, or let's talk dealerships, you could throw a pebble and hit 5 dealerships in that auto park, that, you know, the auto center where there's every single brand, right? Like you throw one stone and hit every single brand that imaginable. So you all sell cars. You all have you all have a process. You all are transparent with pricing now because online is a thing, and we've all built our cars and done our research. So they're literally ready to buy when they come in, right? Because they've done it all. What's your differentiator? It's not your car that you're selling. It's not even your brand, because guess what? If you're looking for an SUV, every single brand has 2 or 3 different SUV models. So there's it's not your brand, it's not your quality, it's not your price, it's your people, and it's the experience you provide. That is your delta. And so you have to build that trust account, because if you don't, the dealership down the street will take your customer and they will pay more for a better experience. So price, quality, vehicle doesn't matter. The people you have, the relationship you build, that's what builds trust and loyalty. If you don't have that, you've got nothing. You've got nothing.
Oh man, everyone loves to use the Amazon experience, right? And everyone loves to use Amazon. And I don't know how many people actually understand that I can go to Target and pay less. But Amazon experience is, and Target does a great job. Like Target has set a precedence for the amount of times we were talking about Bed Bath Beyond earlier in our household last week, and I've stopped shopping at Bed Bath Beyond. It's not because their products suck. It's because it's so cumbersome. I pay for something each year to have this membership. But if I want to do pick up at store, it is quicker and more painless for me to actually go there, find it, and check out than try to do pick up, versus Target's doing a phenomenal job at that. But I know with Amazon, period, hard stop. Amazon, as we all know, I buy it. There's a good chance I'm paying more for it. But I know if when it gets here, it's going to get here. It's going to get here, and it could get here in 3 hours. If there's a problem, no problem. I'll drop it off at Whole Foods. I don't have to worry. Like it's so seamless. It's the people, process, product. Now, you made a really good comment on Fixed Ops Roundtable. We had, it was on our modern retailing panel that said, hey, if any point during that process, though, if you dropped it off at Staples or wherever, or Whole Foods, if someone during that process I almost dropped an F-bomb right there. I wrote that one in. That was really difficult for me to roll that, but screwed it up. That would have been, as a consumer, it's just same as in auto industry, that reflects poorly on Amazon, even though it was Whole Foods or it was Staples. Yes. The same thing happens in automotive. In the consumer's mind, we'll take Toyota. It's all the same brand. Now, even though it happened at a tier 1 level or a tier 2 level, it doesn't matter. The consumer, all they see is, I hate Toyota now. I hate Honda because I had a bad experience on Auto Trader. They don't care it was Auto Trader. They just know that was Toyota or that was insert whatever. So all this is inclusive to say that, hey, wherever it goes is if you're not having, and I got to be really clear here, is that this doesn't just happen by you sitting back and be like, all right, come in here and write a $60,000 check for me, because now Becky Turnick last night had Paul Mackin. I apologize if I said your name wrong on the show last night, and said the average car payment right now is over $700. So if you're just waiting for them to come in, this is going to require effort. Yeah. Now, I know that might be a little scary that you got to get off your ass and do something, but you're going to have to do it if you really want that customer loyalty and to win over the #1 chief purchasing officer. Get off your ass and work.
Well, and here's the thing: it starts not just everyone sits there and tells well, what do you mean? I need to design a whole new experience for her? Well, first of all, do you even have an experience? Let's start with the basics. Like, do you even have a journey map? Do you even know what your customers go through? Do you even look at that touch point? And then from there, when you have that foundation, now you need to look at each touch point in that customer's journey and say, okay, how do I appeal to her? How do I appeal to her? Brooke words are okay. I love it.
Thank you, Steve. Steve knows me well enough to know those. It's really rare that I rein in the F-bombs. It's usually only around my nieces and nephews that I'm like, okay, I got to rein those in there. Thank you, Steve. Thank you. And Paul is right here. Everyone sells a similar product, but only you stock you. Been saying that for decades. Yeah, Paul, and Paul and I were introduced maybe 6 months ago, Paul. So, and I love everything Paul's doing too. So yeah, it's trying to find.
Humans do business with humans. Like customers are doing business with humans. They're not doing business with Toyota anymore because they can find that same thing at Honda, Hyundai, Volvo. They can find it anywhere. So the selling feature is no longer the vehicle. It's the person.
People buy people.
People process, it's the experience, it's how you make them feel. And when we talk about the woman, the chief purchasing officer, her limbic system, which is the emotional memory hub of your brain, is almost double the size. It's deeper and much deeper and wider than a man's. So she feels more. So that experience means more to her. And so if you can't provide her an experience that feels good, she's going to go somewhere else where it does.
Oh, and that's what's so interesting to me is that like we look at all these things and I have this conversation, I would say with about every one of my clients and then some to say, okay, what is differentiating yourself from others, whether it's sales, whether it's service, whether it's fixed ops in general, but your dealership. And if you tell me that you sell more cars or your lot is more, those things used to work. They don't work anymore because quite honestly, CarMax has more cars than you. They're just going to, and other store. I mean, there are other dealerships that are going to have more. So what sets you apart? Okay, let's literally dive into this for a second. One, it's your people. That's number one. Two, what services do you offer? I mean, do you have a page? This is also something I always look at. This is going back to, man, this is like probably 2010, 11. I was doing this. I had one of my clients at the time. We built an entire page about women, how they hire women, they cater. Like we had an entire women in our store page. I go, okay, do you have anything about that? I mean, how many women do you have on your staff? I mean, once again, if you're not showcasing that, and I walk in, going back to my husband, he always made sure, he goes, if I could have my entire staff of women, that's what I would do, because I know that they're going to sell more, they're going to make more. And when someone comes in, they're going straight to the woman because they're going to feel safer with her. Like they want to buy from a woman. They want to buy from a female. So they're always looking for that. So all these different things to say, okay, how are you catering that? I mean, even we can go into all the other things of how it differentiates, but all these things of people, process, product, how are you differentiating yourself from other people because you're all a dealership. So it's those things that are actually differentiating you from others.
For sure. And I would caution this. A lot of the time, the limbic system, says a guy, it's so true. What the heck is that? The differentiator, how do I say this? If you're looking in the industry for how to create an experience, you're looking in the wrong place. Because the dealership down the street, while I think there are some progressive companies out there right now, and there are definitely some progressive dealerships out there that are getting it right, without a doubt. So I'm not blanketing and saying everyone's doing it wrong, because they're not. It's just not the case. But where your customers gain their expectation of an experience is not at a dealership. They shop for a car once every 3 years or once every 2 years. Where they are gaining their expectation of an experience is outside your industry. So it's at Starbucks, it's at Nordstrom, it's at Chick-fil-A when they say my pleasure, it's at Amazon. Like these are the places, the companies that are leading the charge in molding your customers' expectations of what an experience is.
Yep.
So within the industry. You can't.
Yep. And exactly what Damien is saying, and Damien is notorious. Damien, I don't know if you have trademarked this saying, and I'm going to probably screw it up here, but at some point, maybe trademark it, is that you need to serve your community so they'll serve you. And so transactional experience at your store or relationship experience with your community before they show up at your store.
We have to go from transaction to interaction. We have to go from, I hate customer service. Service is a transaction. It's the service lane. No, it should be an experience. An experience is when you actually evoke an emotion and a feeling within somebody. And that's what actually drives us to say yes and to make a decision. If it's just transactional, it's not going to do much.
Yeah. And if it is transactional, it's a one-time transaction and they're not coming back. Like exactly. I have to get my car service here, and what was I talking to this about just recently? And I'm full out dreading this. And I'm obviously in the industry, so I understand that there's a tech shortage. All this. It's just there's people, process, and product, and every three of them are broken. And I can't schedule online because they screwed up everything about the car. And so I can't schedule online. So I know I'm going to have to call. And we all know what happens when you call a dealership to try to schedule a service. So I'm just like, oh my goodness. And it's like, it's just, I'm dreading it so much. I'm like, oh, but I have to get a service. And from a convenience standpoint, it is very close to me. Otherwise, I'd have to drive a pretty far away to get my car service. And I'm always going to take my car to a dealership like that there's not even a question. Also being in the industry, there's no way it's gonna be a double negative, but I will always take my car to the dealership. And that just comes down to, it's like, man, it shouldn't be this difficult. And whether I'm male or female, it should not be this difficult to do this.
That's going back to my point a few minutes ago, is that, listen, do you even have an experience? Like, can you even say that you provide an interaction with your customers? Even put the woman aside. Like, let's go to basics. Like, are you able to say my team members are trained and they're empathetic, they have EQ, they're able to communicate at every touch point in the customer's journey. And then at that point, okay, how do we want to level up? How do we want to strive for excellence? Well, let's really look at your number one consumer. Let's look at the person who's going to refer you or tell her husband or other family members not to go to you. So then let's layer in, well, what does she need? But first of all, you can't even get there. You can't skip those steps. Like, you need the basics. You need to be able to create a 5-star experience that your customers can't live without and want to shout from the rooftops. At that point, then we can go into the science behind why she matters and what you can do to captivate her heart and her wallet. Oh, and then you're winning.
Yeah. And Jeff is saying here, transaction much greater than interaction. Love it. And it is. I mean, it was too often we get stuck. And I understand that sometimes you're just changing a word, but sometimes when you do just change that little tiny word, man, it just opens up a brand new world. Sure. Damien saying, thank you, Katie and Brooke. You're all brilliant, passionate, and inspirational. Damien, I can say the same thing about you, buddy. Like, yeah, if anyone has a chance to speak to Damien, your whole life, and Damien, I'll start gushing here in about 2 seconds here, but your whole life just completely changes. And talk about someone understanding not only this, but just understanding the female man. Damien, thank you for everything you do. It's just, yeah, I'll keep gushing about Damien here, so I'm going to stop. But all this stuff is just going back to, I've said this before, is a foundation. You cannot build a house when you have a crack in the foundation. So whether you want to make excuses to say, well, I can't do that. I can't do that. I got to go and do all of this to cater to the female. Well, no. Once again, do you even have an experience?
Yeah, exactly. Is the foundation even there? And here's the thing. It really doesn't. You talk about just the bathroom. Like, focus on one touch point. Get all the men to go into the female's bathroom, and they're going to be like, oh my goodness. Right. Yeah. And then go in with the women and ask them what they would change.
Yeah.
Make that small change. That small change will make an impact in the experience. And then let's work on the next thing. And so it's little by little by little, one bite of the elephant at a time. One of my mentors has said to me many times, and he's brilliant. He says, when it comes to the customer experience, you never arrive. There's never a ribbon cutting ceremony. There's never this aha moment where it's like, I've got this. Because here's the thing. The world changes, economics change, your business changes. Heck, we go through a pandemic, your people change, their lives change, and your customers will continue to evolve, and she will continue to evolve. So if you ever think that you've arrived, I mean, think again. No, you've got to keep evolving. You've got to keep moving, keep re-looking at that experience. If your customer doesn't have a voice in your daily huddles and in your meetings, if she doesn't have a voice, then you're going to stand still, and she and your customers will choose to go somewhere else.
Every single time. And I love that you brought that up, that if you look at your boardroom right now, how much of it is male and how much of it is female? Look at that ratio.
It's like 85, 15 in the auto space.
So in order to get that to a better ratio, you got to start somewhere. So start bringing in females to say, okay, start with the bathroom, then say, okay, so I've seen this done. There are dealerships that are doing it. There are lots of businesses to say, okay, I can speak from experience that I've seen nursing mothers coming back to work and saying, I don't even have a place to go. I've got to go in this corner over here.
Yeah.
What are we doing? I mean, so start asking your females in the workplace to say, hey, talk to me a little bit. So
you
start
have all
small.
Resources. You literally have everything you need. Even ask your wife, ask your daughters, ask your, like, you have all the, it's not rocket science. I wish I was that brilliant that it was rocket science. I'm just the woman that's willing to scream it from the rooftop and want to shake everybody and say, oh my gosh, we're missing out on the biggest opportunity. But it's not rocket science. We don't need, and I write myself out of a job here, I guess, but you don't need a coach to come in and tell you this stuff. Read the book and lean on your people and make some changes.
And what's once again, I'm just going to keep holding this book up because it's that important. It's not just automotive, it's business. You've got a story in here about a dealer that was like, hey, even from a personal level, like my wife thanked me. So it's like, it's just, yes. I mean, talk about that. I mean, it's just like, it helps all the way around just to understand. And it's, just so much in here about that. Just like, it's not just business. It's just understanding a little bit more about, hey.
It's for the ladies too. Like, I'm not bashing the dudes out there. Like, you guys are great. Don't get me wrong. Like, it's about women and men coming together. Listen, the big man above put us on the earth together because we have different strengths. We have different weaknesses. And it's just about really working together. And sometimes though, us ladies, we are like, we're worse than men sometimes when it comes to tearing other women down and not supporting each other.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
Like I was out getting a facial and we were talking, and she's an amazing esthetician and runs this amazing business. And she's like, she's like, we don't straighten each other's crowns. And then I interrupt and I say, no, we pull them over our friends' eyes so we can't see our way. So we can't see. Hi, Robin. So we can't, see where we're going. And so I'm not bashing men. I think we need to start working together as humans and just understanding that, listen, this is my physiological difference to you. This is what makes me me. This is what makes you you. And now how do we use those strengths to exactly. So in an environment, a work environment, I have a chapter in my book, it's called Fee plus Male. Like, it's not female, but it's like, how do we make female? How do we create this female environment working with men and women together?
Yes. And so I think it's, man, I got to go back and look at our schedule. I don't know what's next. I think it's in 2 weeks. I've got Daryl Terrell coming on the show, and awesome individual, and also met him on Fixed Ops Roundtable. And we were talking a lot about this, of how the female, catering to the female in our industry, and how important it is that exactly what you're talking about, of having the males champion that, because you cannot have one side and one gender being like, rah, rah, rah. Apparently in that voice, I don't know what voice that was, but it was some type of voice there. But, and then the other side, like, no. And whatever side that is, whether it's the males being like, yes, 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 and the females are like, nah, not so much, or whatever it may be, it has to be both. And where males right now have so much of the boardroom, it takes that side to be like, okay, yes, let's do that. Let's do that. And pulling each other up. And also as females, for the love, we're all in this together. Stop doing yeah.
Like there's, the world is full of opportunities, right? Like it's not, we don't have to live in that scarcity mindset anymore. No. We just don't. There's enough meat on the bone. There's just enough meat on the bone for every man and woman, by the way. Yep. There's enough meat on the bone for everybody. So if you see, I mean, coming into the automotive space, I dared to do a post about it, I guess, last week, and it's in my book. But when I came into the automotive space, I was literally blacklisted by women telling me that they're telling people not to bring me on as a speaker because they thought I was going to have too much success and take their business. And I'm like, but I do this and you do this. We actually complement each other. So let's try to cross promote instead of, but I was literally for about a year blacklisted from all the conferences. They wouldn't hire me. It's crazy. Nuts, man.
No, I hear you. I hear you. I once again, this will be another drinking thing that we'll have to do because it's crazy. But once you can find your tribe, to be like, hey, I'm going to pull you up. I'm going to pull you up. And we've done a lot of these together where it's like, okay, let's have just some kick-ass boss babe women come together and let's all find, okay, you need, it's just amazing the power that can come from that. But once again, I'm going to go back to this to say that, and by the way, hi, Dusty. It's amazing, but you've got to also have that male counterpart because it takes both of us coming together to make this incredible amazingness happen. It's so cool what happens when you have all this when both genders come together, and it's really cool, really cool. Oh my goodness, I felt like I could talk to you about this forever. Hold up, I got to. We got Stephen coming. Frankly, add a woman's desire, customer experience to a long list of things misunderstood to guys. To be clear, it's not intent, in my opinion. It's a language we must learn.
I agree. But Stephen, here it is. We need to learn your language too. So I'm not saying, I'm not like, here, I'm going to say shit. I never say shit anywhere, but we're not shitting on you males. Like, we're just not. Like, it's about understanding each other. We have to learn your language. And I talk about men and women in this book. I talk about the physiological differences and the facts and the science behind it. It's not like in this book, I just talk about her. I talk about how we can understand each other, because once we can understand each other, we have that solid footing, that foundation that we can start walking next to each other and helping each other out. Yeah.
This is one of those that I feel, not even Phil, I'm going to say Phil, because not, I know that you did the audio version. So I will end up listening to this. I'll be reading it. There's just so much.
It'll be out about 4 weeks after pub date. I'm still having to do a few little tweaks, but yeah, the audio version is there.
Nice. And Dusty's saying communication is key. My wife and I have the conversation to help understand each other. And that's the only way. That is the only way. Like, just talk.
Yeah.
We'll talk and listen with the intent to actually understand the person, not just rebuttal.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh. Katie, I could sit here and talk with you for probably, I just looked at the time. I was like, oh my gosh, how are we already at 48 minutes? Like we're cruising here. Like, it's just been, there's so much in here. And there's always that little bit of trepidation. Like when someone asks you to, like, hey, I'm going to send you, and I'm like, okay, yeah. And I've been sent stuff before, and it's like, oh, I'm going to have to break someone's heart with this one and be like, okay, how could I like gently let someone down? I was like, after I got into like the first couple of pages here, I was like, damn, she is onto something here. Like, this is incredible. So it's awesome. I cannot champion this enough. And as Dusty says, she has to spell stuff out to me sometimes.
Oh yeah. And
I will say, before we can jump into the lightning round here, is this, that as females, don't stop with the mind games of trying to think that the guy understands you. Just tell them what you're thinking, please.
Okay, but here on the flip side, for all the dudes out there, be willing and open to actually hear her.
Yes.
because a lot of times she doesn't say things because she's tried to in the past and she hasn't been heard and she's been shut down.
Yes,
And
yes,
so,
yes.
So then she learns, like any human learns this behavior, she just doesn't. So then she expects you to read her mind at that point, because she's like, well, if I say anything, then, and you react this way, it's counterproductive. So I'm just not going to say anything. And so she learns to shut down, and then he learns to shut down, and then communication is shut down, and it's
not a good situation.
So yes, ladies, be daring enough to speak your mind. But to the gentlemen out there, be compassionate enough and empathetic enough to hear her out.
Yes, it's a two-way street, as my good friend Bill Schomburg always says. It's a two-way street. One more thing from Dusty coming in here. So something I work on is not being the fixer. Oh my gosh, thank you, Dusty, for the love. Thank you.
So I heard this, when your wife or anybody in the relationship, when you're about to have a conversation, just simply ask them, do you need me to listen to you right now, or do you want my counsel?
Yep.
Like, which one is it? And if you want me to listen, I'm just going to listen. Cool. But if you want my counsel, then I'm going to give you my opinion.
Yep.
But then that person is open to it.
Yep. And the same thing, even taking this, I know we're getting somehow, we just got into relationship vibes here, but even in the auto industry, same thing is, I'm right up here with Dusty, that's exactly what I had to learn from her.
Awesome.
It's the same thing in taking this into the auto industry, because I'm trying to wrap this, bring this in the auto industry, is the same thing, is that when you're having a conversation with anybody, but especially when you're talking to the female, think this through, because sometimes something has happened in another business, and that female is so infuriated. By the time they get to you, they may have been bombarded with 17 different emails that literally never answer their question, because we've all mystery shopped enough to know that people don't answer questions. They don't personalize. So this customer is so upset. And I have multiple examples that have just happened in the last week from clients. They're like, what do we do? That we have this customer that's so upset. I'm like, well, did you look at the history of what happened for the last 7 months, or the last year, or the last 2 years, or what happened here? Well, no. Well, that's why they're so upset. So take the time to actually listen, and then communicate and personalize that communication back to her and say, hey, here's what, blah, blah, blah. But pump the brakes before you sit back and actually communicate with the person. So I know we kind of went there, but just, Dusty, I love everything you're saying right here. It is so true, but take the time to listen and don't fix it.
You're sitting here, you're saying, we've kind of gone off track a bit, and we're talking relationship advice, but hold up. Everything you're doing is relationships. Like,
it is.
So, I mean, if you wouldn't do that to your mother or daughter or wife, why would you do it to your customer? So, I mean,
yes,
it's all about building that loyalty in those relationships. So they kind of transcend, that they blend. The skills you use here are still the same skills you're going to use over here.
Yeah. So it always makes me wonder, when you are treated a certain way, it's like, man, if you're treating me this way, I feel badly for whomever you have, either your mother and that's the first thing I always look like. If I get treated, how you treat your mother is how you're going to treat the next person. So just, 100%. I'll just leave it at that. Man, it has been an eventful show, Katie. Eventful show, a very eventful show. And I love it. I'm so excited. It's just been once I met you, I was just like, she is a powerhouse. Like, just,
thank you.
So thank you so much. Once again, thank you so much for this. I'm going to leave this up here covering my head right now. Everyone, get yourself a copy of this. It's absolutely incredible. Do yourself a favor and read this when you show the customer that Dusty's saying, when you show the customer that you understand them, they are more likely to form a relationship with you. The customer is under no requirement to understand the dealership. None. That's not their job. Your job is to understand them. That is in the boat.
One more little thing here, because that's I get all the time when I'm doing trainings or I'm on stage, and I'm very interactive when I'm on stage, but I'll get this, well, I don't have time to create a relationship. I'm like, okay, so do you have food on your table? Yes. Do you have a roof over your head? Yes. Do your kids have clothes on their back and go to school and have sports and all the things? Yes. So who paid for that?
Customers.
Right. So if you don't have time for your customers to create that relationship, you are in you can't work. every business has a customer, or else you can't make money. Like it's just there's always a customer. So get your head out of your
Ass.
and yeah, thank you.
Gotcha.
And realize just how important those customers are to you and your children, and you know, the roof you have over your head, and start caring.
Otherwise, you're gonna take yourself out of a job. That's what you're gonna do. It's the money is there, the ROI is there, and listen to the words that are being said, because it is amazing. I mean, we talk about facts, not feelings, and man, the amount of data that is in this book is out of control. So do yourself a favor and get on board, my friends. Get on board. So, oh man, all right, Katie. So let's jump in here to. Right. I know we just got through a ton there, and go back and watch this. As always, next Thursday, the podcast goes live on Thursday. On YouTube, it'll go live on Thursday as well. Go back and watch this. Obviously, it's on LinkedIn, it's on Facebook and Twitter. And then next week it'll be up as well. So everyone, this is one you're going to want to rewatch. I'm pretty sure. But with that, we will dive in here to the lightning round here. So, yeah, buddy. All right. So let's dive into, as always, the first question we're always going to ask is, I know that everyone can see, if you're watching right now, you're going to see the personalized link for Katie Mayers. And with that, as always, you can always get the pre-order book here. But how can everyone find you? How can they get in touch with you?
Yeah. I mean, DM me. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, not so much Twitter, LinkedIn. So you can DM me. You can email me, katie@katiemayers.com. And I will respond. I really want to make a change. And so the only way we can make a change is if we band together. So please don't hesitate to reach out. And of course, order my book, Barnes & Noble. It's on their website. It's for pre-order, also on Amazon, and really anywhere books are sold.
Booyah. It releases on the 14th, which is Valentine's Day. Yes. Enjoy. What a better gift for yourself. Come on. Right? Show the love. Show the love. Show the love. So I'm going to say that.
Your wife, because you're going to understand her better.
Seriously, come on now.
Honey, I got this book so that I can make our relationship better.
There you go. I can't think of a better way. Let's be honest. All right. What is your favorite thing to do outside of work? What are your favorite hobbies?
Oh gosh. I would say right now, well, I'm a yogi, huge. I love yoga and I work out a ton. It's like my sort of Zen space. But also I love to fly fish. So yes, I have a fly fishing account. It's called Katie on the Fly on Instagram. You can see all my catches there. But yeah, I love to fly fish.
That's awesome. I tried fly fishing once. It did not go very well. It was not a good experience. Yeah,
I love it. Yeah, I love it.
That's props to. That's not. It's not easy. That's so
no,
very impressive.
It's not. And that's another sport that's very male dominated. So there's not a lot of women out there that have caught the fish I've caught.
Dude, that's awesome. Yeah. Kicking down doors. All right. What's your favorite vacation spot?
Anywhere with a beach. Anywhere with sun and sand.
It's exactly the same way. And I've got a drink in my hand. I'm good to go. All right. So obviously you're doing a lot here. So this can be either in personal life or in business. How are you distinguishing facts from feelings in either in personal or in business?
Gosh, I think I'm in a very self-reflective season right now in my life. And so I am all about working on me and actually distinguishing facts from feelings and making the changes I need to be better for myself, my kids, and everyone else out there.
That is a beautiful answer. Love it. Okay, so let's go with, what is your favorite car?
I don't have one.
You don't have one? Okay. All right.
I don't care what I drive. I really don't. As long as it's not a van. And right now I drive a Ford Expedition, a really huge, soccer mom truck that's not a van. So
okay. The better question then is, what is your favorite pair of shoes?
Louboutins. Christian Louboutins. There we go. I can't answer that one.
I figured you'd get that one. Okay. So, all right. Let's wrap it up with, what advice would you give your younger self?
Oh, that's heavy. My goodness. What would I give my younger self? Honestly, and I think it's advice that everyone needs to give their younger self, is that God put you on this earth with a set of skills that are unique to you, and just know your worth and know that, don't lose it along the way. You're gonna be hit with so many flying rocks and sandstorms and all the things, but don't ever give up your self-love and your self-worth, because there's only one of you on this earth. So I would think that I would keep telling myself that if you keep going and you keep persisting and you believe in yourself, then the world is your oyster.
Amen. I see, it was heavy, but you came out flying colors on that one, and I just knocked my mic off. There we go. I love it. All right. Well, Katie, thank you so much. It has been an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. Everyone, I'm going to say it one more time. If you have not pre-ordered this book, go pre-order. I am literally covering up my face right now. So you will go pre-order it. Do yourself a favor, do your business a favor. Go do your sister, your wife, any female in your life, do them a favor by getting them this book. It is absolutely amazing. And honestly, you're going to do your business a favor. It's amazing. So Katie, thank you so much. And you're so welcome. And as always, everyone, I always finish this way, is find a way to serve today. Find a way to go help someone. As it can be a colleague, it can be a friend, it can be opening a door for someone. We have the Super Bowl party around the way, so it can be helping someone with that and saying, let me help you with that. Let me take some of that burden off you, but find a way to serve someone today. And with that, everyone, we will see everyone next week. All right. See you, everyone.